Hope Solo, one of U.S. soccer's biggest stars, found herself in the headlines for more than her goalkeeping. In 2014, she was arrested for domestic violence after a family altercation with her half-sister and nephew. What followed was a years-long legal battle, raising questions about what really happened that night and how it affected her career. Today, we're diving into the facts behind this controversial case. If you're into deep dives on real-life cases and untangling the truth behind the headlines, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We've got plenty more stories coming your way, and you won't want to miss it. Hope Solo's journey to becoming one of the most iconic figures in women's soccer began in Richland, Washington, where she was born in 1981. Growing up, she faced a challenging childhood. Her father, who played a significant role in her early life, was often absent due to homelessness and legal troubles. Despite these struggles, Hope channeled her energy into soccer, where she initially played as a forward, scoring over 100 goals in high school. But it wasn't until she transitioned to goalkeeping at the University of Washington that her true potential began to emerge. Solo's rise to prominence came quickly. She joined the U.S. women's national team in 2000 and soon became a dominant presence in goal. Known for her athleticism, quick reflexes, and aggressive style of play, Solo was instrumental in securing some of the team's most significant victories. Her career highlights are numerous. She was a key figure in the team's gold medal wins at the 2008 and 2012 Olympics, where her performances earned her widespread recognition as one of the best goalkeepers in the world. In 2011, she played a critical role in leading the U.S. to the FIFA Women's World Cup final, and although they fell short to Japan in a dramatic penalty shootout, Solo's individual brilliance earned her the Golden Glove Award as the tournament's best goalkeeper. She followed this up with a redemption story in 2015 when the U.S. team captured the World Cup, with Solo again being named the tournament's best goalkeeper. Off the field, Hope Solo developed a public persona that was equally strong and polarizing. She was known for her candid, often outspoken nature, never shying away from controversy or voicing her opinions. This made her both a beloved figure for many fans and a lightning rod for criticism. Her fierce competitive spirit and confidence were seen as assets on the field, but sometimes led to friction with coaches, teammates, and the media. By 2014, Solo was a household name in American sports. She had established herself as one of the greatest goalkeepers in the history of the sport and an outspoken advocate for women's soccer. Her reputation as a fierce competitor and her role in high-profile victories had earned her legions of fans. Yet behind the scenes, tensions were beginning to build and her public image was about to take a serious hit. On the night of June 21, 2014, Hope Solo found herself at the center of a troubling incident that would dramatically impact her public image and career. The event took place at the Kirkland, Washington, home of her half-sister, Teresa Aubert. It was meant to be a family gathering, but tensions quickly escalated. According to reports, Solo had been drinking earlier that evening, though the full circumstances leading to the altercation remain unclear. What is known is that an argument broke out between Solo, Teresa Aubert, and Aubert's 17-year-old son, Solo's nephew. Accounts of the argument differ significantly, with both sides offering different versions of events. At some point during the evening, the situation turned physical. Aubert and her son later claimed that Solo became violent, attacking both of them during the altercation. According to their accounts, Solo hit her nephew repeatedly and then turned on Aubert when she attempted to intervene. Aubert's son, a high school student, later stated that he tried to defend himself, but Solo, who is known for her strength and athleticism, was allegedly overpowering. Solo, however, offered a very different version of the events. She claimed that her nephew was the one who initiated the physical confrontation. According to Solo, her nephew, who was significantly larger than her, was the aggressor, and she was simply defending herself after being attacked. Solo also stated that the incident had spiraled out of control in the heat of the moment, with emotions running high, but that she was not the primary aggressor. Following the altercation, police were called to the scene. Upon arrival, they interviewed the family members and assessed the situation. Both Teresa Obert and her son were visibly upset, and Solo herself had visible injuries, though they were minor. After taking statements from everyone involved, the police made the decision to arrest Solo on 2 counts of fourth-degree domestic violence assault, based on the accusations from Obert and her son. According to their allegations, Solo had caused physical harm during the altercation, prompting the arrest. The incident sent shockwaves through the media and the public. Solo, one of the most recognizable faces in U.S. soccer, was suddenly embroiled in a legal battle that put her reputation on the line. The specifics of what led to the altercation remained murky, with both sides painting starkly different pictures of the events that unfolded that night. When local law enforcement arrived at Teresa Obert's home on the night of June 21, 2014, they were faced with conflicting accounts of what had taken place. After assessing the situation, officers decided there was sufficient cause to arrest Hope Solo on 2 counts of fourth-degree domestic violence assault. The charges stemmed from allegations by Solo's half-sister Teresa Obert and her 17-year-old son, who claimed Solo had attacked them during a heated argument that turned physical. The arrest was based on visible injuries and statements taken at the scene. Solo was taken into custody that night and booked at the South Correctional Entity Jail in Des Moines, Washington. The charges were serious, and the media quickly picked up on the story. Given Solo's status as a high-profile athlete and key figure in U.S. women's soccer, news of the arrest spread rapidly. Within hours, the story made headlines across the country, sparking intense public interest. Initial media reports painted a chaotic scene, focusing heavily on the fact that Solo, an Olympic gold medalist and World Cup star, was now facing domestic violence charges. Some outlets highlighted her past controversies, suggesting a pattern of off-field incidents that had begun to shadow her athletic career. The fact that the alleged victims were family members only intensified the public's reaction, with many questioning how such a high-profile athlete could be involved in such a violent altercation. Solo's legal team quickly went on the defensive, issuing statements to the media in an attempt to clarify her side of the story. They emphasized that Solo was innocent of the charges and had acted in self-defense. Her lawyer argued that Solo's nephew had been the initial aggressor, and that she had only responded to protect herself. The legal team also pointed out that Solo had sustained minor injuries during the altercation, further supporting their claim that she was not the instigator. Despite the swift response, the damage to Solo's reputation was immediate. Public opinion became sharply divided, with some defending her as a victim of family conflict and others condemning her actions. The U.S. Soccer Federation, under pressure from both the media and fans, released a statement acknowledging the seriousness of the allegations, but refrained from making any immediate decisions regarding her status with the national team. As Solo awaited her court appearances, the story remained a prominent topic in sports media, adding to the scrutiny already surrounding her off-field behavior. The legal case would go on to drag out for years, but in the early days after her arrest, the uncertainty surrounding her future, both in soccer and in the public eye, was palpable. Hope Solo's defense centered on her claims of self-defense. From the beginning, Solo maintained that she was not the aggressor in the June 21, 2014 incident. According to her version of events, the altercation began when her 17-year-old nephew became physically aggressive toward her. Solo's defense team argued that her nephew, who was significantly larger and stronger than her, initiated the physical confrontation. Solo stated that she was left with no choice but to defend herself during what she described as a chaotic and emotional family dispute. Solo's legal team, led by experienced defense attorney Todd Maybrown, focused on building a case that highlighted these points. They portrayed her nephew as the aggressor, emphasizing his size and strength in comparison to Solo, who they claimed was outmatched physically. Solo's team also pointed out that she had suffered injuries in the altercation, suggesting that she was not the one who instigated the violence. In addition, they argued that family conflicts can often become heated, and that this situation spiraled out of control due to the emotionally charged environment. Mae Brown played a key role in shaping Solo's legal defense, working to dismantle the narrative that she had been the primary aggressor. He highlighted inconsistencies in the accounts given by Solo's half-sister, Teresa Obert, and her nephew, and he suggested that the pair had exaggerated the events of the evening. The defense team's strategy was to cast doubt on the prosecution's case by presenting Solo as a victim of circumstance rather than a perpetrator of violence. Despite Solo's claims of self-defense, the impact on her career was immediate and far-reaching. The domestic violence charges put her future with the U.S. women's national soccer team in jeopardy, and public opinion was deeply divided. Some fans rallied behind Solo, believing in her innocence and supporting her self-defense argument. Others, however, felt that the charges, combined with Solo's past controversies, were damaging to the team's reputation and called for her to be removed from the roster. The U.S. Soccer Federation, which had previously stood by Solo during other off-field incidents, found itself in a difficult position. While they did not take any immediate disciplinary action, the organization acknowledged the seriousness of the allegations and stated that they were closely monitoring the legal process. Solo's endorsements also began to take a hit. Companies that had aligned themselves with her as a prominent female athlete became hesitant to continue their partnerships amid the legal uncertainty. As the case progressed, Solo's reputation remained in flux. While she continued to compete at the highest level in women's soccer, the cloud of the domestic violence charges loomed over her career, creating a sense of uncertainty about her future both on and off the field. For many, the legal battle had raised questions not just about what happened that night, but about how an athlete of Solo's stature would recover from such a damaging event. After Hope Solo's arrest in June 2014, the legal process quickly began to unfold. She was charged with 2 counts of fourth-degree domestic violence assault. Solo pled not guilty, and her legal team prepared to defend her in court. Over the next several months, the case moved through various stages, with several key developments along the way. The first major court appearance took place in late 2014. During this time, both Teresa Obert and her son gave statements regarding the events of the night in question. However, it soon became clear that their cooperation in the case was beginning to waver. Solo's defense team highlighted inconsistencies in their testimony, and the prosecution faced growing challenges as the 2 main witnesses, Obert and her son, became less cooperative. This lack of cooperation played a significant role in shaping the direction of the case. By January 2015, the legal landscape shifted further when the charges against Solo were dismissed. The court ruled that the evidence presented was insufficient to move forward with a trial. The key factor in the dismissal was the difficulty in obtaining reliable testimony from Obert and her son. Without their full cooperation and clear, consistent accounts of the altercation, the prosecution was unable to meet the burden of proof required to continue pursuing the case. This decision marked a significant moment in the legal proceedings, offering Solo and her team a momentary victory. However, this wasn't the end of the story. Later in 2015, the case was unexpectedly reopened. The prosecution argued that the initial dismissal had been premature and that there were unresolved issues that warranted further legal examination. This decision to reopen the case added a new layer of uncertainty for Solo. The legal reasoning behind this move was that there were still potential inconsistencies in Solo's defense, and that further scrutiny was needed to ensure justice was served. Over the next few years, the case saw little progress. It wasn't until 2018 that the court made its final ruling. After years of back and forth, the charges were ultimately dismissed again, this time for good. The court cited a continued lack of reliable evidence, particularly pointing to the fact that the key witnesses, Teresa Obert, and her son had failed to provide the necessary testimony to substantiate the claims of domestic violence. Without sufficient evidence to proceed, the court concluded that the case could not move forward, bringing the lengthy legal battle to a close. For Solo, this final dismissal marked the end of a tumultuous chapter in her life, though the legal proceedings had already left a lasting impact on both her career and public image. From the moment news of Hope Solo's arrest broke in June 2014, the media response was swift and intense. Given Solo's high-profile status as one of the most accomplished athletes in U.S. soccer, headlines quickly focused on the domestic violence charges, and her name became synonymous with controversy. Coverage of the case was widespread, with media outlets painting a range of narratives. Some focused heavily on the shocking nature of the accusations, while others brought up Solo's past controversies, creating a broader narrative around her off-field behavior. Many reports highlighted the alleged victims, her half-sister Teresa Obert and her 17-year-old nephew, adding a layer of personal and family drama to the story. Solo's public image, once built on her athletic success, began to fracture as the media scrutinized her personal life. The portrayal often wavered between a world-class athlete and a troubled public figure with a history of controversy. The seriousness of the charges, combined with Solo's fame, made this case a fixture in the news cycle for months. Within the sports community, reactions were mixed. On one hand, there were those who supported Solo, pointing to her claims of self-defense and the lack of concrete evidence against her. Some of her supporters, especially within the soccer world, believed that the case had been blown out of proportion due to her status as a celebrity athlete. However, there were also many critics who saw the case as part of a troubling pattern in Solo's off-field behavior. Past incidents, such as her publicized arguments with coaches and teammates, were revisited in the media, leading to a broader critique of her temperament and character. Public reaction reflected this divide. Some fans remained loyal, defending her on social media and urging people to wait for all the facts before passing judgment. Others, however, were less forgiving, calling for her removal from the U.S. women's national team and urging the U.S. Soccer Federation to take a harder stance on the issue. The federation, while initially hesitant to act, found itself under pressure to address the case more directly, especially as the media continued to cover it in depth. The case also reignited broader discussions about domestic violence, particularly when it involved female athletes and celebrities. Traditionally, cases of domestic violence in sports had focused on male athletes, and Solo's situation challenged some of those narratives. Media coverage brought up questions about how female athletes were perceived in the context of such accusations and whether they were held to different standards compared to their male counterparts. It also touched on issues of how domestic violence, regardless of gender, should be handled in professional sports. For many, the case served as a stark reminder that athletes, even those at the pinnacle of their sport, were not immune to personal and legal challenges. It pushed forward discussions on domestic violence in new ways, forcing sports organizations, media, and the public to confront uncomfortable questions about gender, fame, and accountability. The fallout from Hope Solo's domestic violence case had significant immediate consequences for her soccer career. Although she continued to play for the U.S. women's national team following the 2014 incident, the controversy strained her relationship with the U.S. Soccer Federation. The media attention and public scrutiny surrounding the case put the federation in a difficult position, as they faced growing calls to discipline one of their most prominent players. Initially, the federation refrained from taking drastic action, allowing Solo to remain on the team, but the situation would eventually reach a breaking point. In 2016, Solo's behavior once again landed her in trouble, this time at the Rio Olympics. After a loss to Sweden in the quarterfinals, Solo made highly publicized comments, calling the Swedish team cowards for their defensive playing style. These remarks, combined with her past legal issues, led to a suspension from the national team. The U.S. Soccer Federation, under mounting pressure, suspended Solo for 6 months and terminated her contract. Officially, her comments about Sweden were cited as the cause, but the lingering impact of the 2014 domestic violence case undoubtedly contributed to the decision. This effectively marked the end of Solo's national team career, bringing a sudden and controversial close to her time as one of the sport's most iconic players. In addition to the domestic violence charges, Solo faced other legal challenges around the same time. In 2014, she was also involved in an incident where her husband, Jeremy Stevens, was arrested for DUI while driving a U.S. soccer team van with Solo in the passenger seat. Although Solo was not charged in the incident, it added to the growing scrutiny of her off-field behavior. Together, these legal issues compounded the narrative that Solo's personal life was overshadowing her professional accomplishments. Following the resolution of the domestic violence case and her suspension from the national team, Solo's personal life became more stable. She remained married to Jeremy Stevens, a former NFL player, despite their tumultuous history. The couple has been open about their strong bond, and Solo has often credited Stevens with being a source of support during the most challenging moments of her career. In 2020, they welcomed twins, marking a new chapter in Solo's life as a mother. In the years since the case, Solo has addressed the incident publicly on several occasions. She has consistently maintained her innocence, reiterating her claims of self-defense and expressing frustration with how the media and legal system handled the case. Solo has also spoken out about the challenges of being a female athlete in the public eye, suggesting that her fame contributed to the intensity of the scrutiny she faced. While the legal battle and its consequences left a lasting impact on her career, Solo has continued to advocate for women's sports and remains an influential figure in the soccer world. The domestic violence case, combined with other legal issues, cast a shadow over Solo's otherwise stellar athletic career. While she has moved on personally, the case remains a key part of her legacy, reflecting both the highs and lows of her time in the spotlight. The Hope Solo case highlights the complexities of domestic violence allegations, especially when intertwined with public figures. From a legal perspective, the case faced numerous challenges, starting with the lack of consistent testimony from key witnesses. Solo's defense hinged on claims of self-defense, while her half-sister and nephew provided a different account. As is often the case in domestic disputes, it became a matter of conflicting narratives, with each side presenting a version of events that was difficult to verify. The lack of physical evidence and witness cooperation ultimately led to the dismissal of charges, reflecting how challenging it can be to either prove or disprove allegations of domestic violence in the courtroom. Outside the legal arena, Solo's public image was deeply affected by the case. Even though the charges were dismissed, the media's portrayal of her as a troubled figure stuck. The combination of this case and her other off-field incidents contributed to a reputation that often overshadowed her accomplishments on the field. While Solo consistently maintained her innocence, the weight of public opinion was divided. Some viewed her as a victim of circumstance, while others saw her as emblematic of the darker side of fame and athletic celebrity. The media played a significant role in shaping these perceptions, often emphasizing the more sensational aspects of her personal life over the nuances of the legal case itself. Despite these controversies, Solo's legacy in soccer remains undeniable. She is widely regarded as one of the greatest goalkeepers in the history of the sport, with 2 Olympic gold medals and a World Cup title to her name. Her fierce competitiveness, athleticism, and leadership on the field set a new standard for goalkeeping in women's soccer. For many, her contributions to the sport far outweigh her personal challenges, and her name will always be associated with the U.S. women's national team's period of dominance. As with many high-profile cases, the Hope Solo incident underscores the importance of objective scrutiny. When public figures are involved, the media has the power to amplify both facts and speculation, often blurring the line between the two. In Solo's case, the court of public opinion became just as influential as the legal process, shaping how she was perceived even after the charges were dismissed. This case serves as a reminder that in the face of controversy, it is crucial to maintain a clear-eyed view of both the evidence and the legal outcomes, resisting the temptation to rely solely on media-driven narratives. Solo's story, though complex, offers valuable insights into the intersection of fame, justice, and public perception. Now, we'd love to hear from you. What do you think about the case and how it was handled? Do you believe the media's portrayal of Solo was fair, or do you think the focus should have remained on her soccer career? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more objective, in-depth coverage of high-profile true crime cases involving public figures.